Like you said, he's got 3 rings, right? And just to clarify, none of those rings are with Toronto, right?
Is Fraser Minton going to have more points than Slavkovsky this year? Fraser Minton sucks at hockey. This guy might not even be an NHLer, so we got to settle down on that one.
Adelaide, no. Minus 160 on will they show her holding a drink in her hand.
They are 2 points behind the St. Louis Blues in the wild card, and they are.
Oh, the Blues are dog water. The Blues suck. The Blues are the worst of those 4 teams that I mentioned by a mile.
And
they're not a good hockey team.
Care, like have some set of balls, have some response, have some pride for what the hell goes on the ice. It's so absurd.
I'm looking forward to the parade, but that's going to be later in the year.
I'd rather have so money in that than have Arbit Soderblom. I would rather stack a bunch of garbage that I have in the corner of my room over here than have Arbit Soderblom in that. He's
March 14th, welcome back to Edgework, presented by Stacks. I'm Zack Phillips, joined here on this Thursday morning by, of course, our usual Thursday co-host, So Money Sports, and filling in today for Russ as he has a power outage out there. Hopefully you get that thing sorted out soon. But Alex Moretto here to answer some questions as to what the hell went on last night with the Vancouver Canucks game that held us back from going 5-0 on yesterday's Edgework show. And I say that only because I told Moretto and Alber yesterday that So Money was not going to be happy with the double best bet on the Canucks, and it bit us in the ass a little bit. But before we can get into any of that, before we can get into today's games, today's 12 NHL games, I want to remind people that last week we brought on a new sponsor in Stacks. And if you haven't already, please make sure to go over and sign up for Stacks Betting Exchange. If you're sick of getting limited and profiled, Stacks is a unique sports betting exchange that offers higher limits and better pricing. Stacks offers a fair and real-time marketplace for users to bet on the outcome of sporting events, offering better odds in a peer-to-peer marketplace. Stacks is the best option for anyone who wants to wager on live sports. Make sure to add Stacks to your list of outs and sign up today. Get commission-free trading when you sign up now. The option is yours at Stacks. Now, Moretto, I mean, I'm joking about it, obviously, there, and I know you didn't get to watch the full thing. So Money can probably give us a little bit more insight into exactly what went on with the Canucks, but maybe take us into yesterday's day that led to the 3-0 start there for us on the show yesterday.
Yeah, we started 3-0. Morgan Barron with that late 10-second left meaningless goal to push that game over, which was great. Predators won. We survived the dreaded double bet in the same game and cashed them both, and everything looked like it was going to be amazing. It was looking like 5-0. I was thinking, it would have looking like potentially 6-0 if Alber wasn't on the under in the Oilers game and prevented us from tracking the over that I liked. I blame Alber, and then I blame So Money and his Canucks. I mean, what are you going to do? I would have been 6-0 if not for them. So that's too bad.
Well, So Money, what happened with the Canucks? What happened with the Canucks there? Why did we not end up having a 5-0 day yesterday?
Well, yeah, we should blame Moretto for the Canucks loss. No, but seriously, it was what I would call a productive loss. So let's talk about Colorado first, right? This is a team that they were kind of finding their way for most of the season, scuffling along. Now they've not only propelled themselves into the conversation of an elite team again, but they are the best team in the West right now. You look up and down that lineup. They have depth in the bottom 6. We know about their top end firepower. Makar skating again. And they're starting to play stronger defensively as well. Not only at home, but on the road as well. So I think that this loss is going to end up being good for the Canucks. So it's not just me trying to put a spin on things. The Canucks played three games against LA, Vegas, and Winnipeg, and there were playoff style games. But we're clearly seeing that Colorado is a step above those teams, as they are above every team right now with the way that they're playing. So the Canucks built up a 3-0 lead. It wasn't a deserving lead. I don't think they should have been up 3-0 in that game, but they were. And then we saw Colorado take it to a level that the Canucks couldn't get to, and that kind of thing, it happens, right? But it's important that it's happening right now, where the Canucks can see that um, there's another level beyond the last 3 games that they played, and it's just going to get ratcheted up more and more as the playoffs start. So it's good that the Canucks saw this level that they weren't expecting, obviously, flying high after those 3 games. So just like a couple of weeks ago, I was lamenting that the Canucks haven't played any meaningful playoff style games, and then we had those 3 games all of a sudden, and the Canucks more than matched, more than passed the test. This is another test, right? There is another level out there that the Canucks still need to get to, and Colorado is that level at this moment, and I think the Canucks can get there. It's not like they got blown out or anything, but um, but but when Colorado turned it on, the Canucks couldn't get there. So um, I'm I'll call this a productive loss.
Okay, we'll call it a productive loss then. So many productive loss for the Canucks. I don't know. Maybe Moretto's not going to view it as much of a productive loss for the Edgework show, the ROI, the units and stuff. But yeah, anti-productive as we're slowly climbing back towards that 10% ROI we were looking for. But you know what? Small steps. We're currently at 289, 299, and 12 on the season. That's 601 bets, and through that, we're at a 3.4% ROI here now. We are up 20 units on the season. I mean, before we can even get into the games today, I got a quick question, because this is kind of funny that this is going on online right now and you're seeing memes of it everywhere. Are you guys seeing this whole Penguins bobblehead saga? Is this where Russ is right now? Mike says, which one of you degenerates hijacked the truck with the Yager bobbleheads in it? I mean, yeah, I think the easiest solution here, as Moretto had said this morning, is blame Dubas. This is on Kyle at the end of the day. This is an organizational issue, and that's where it starts and that's where it ends. Kyle Dubas's issue.
Unrelated, I think we have a lot of Yager bobblehead giveaways coming up in the Edgework show, so stay tuned for those over the next few weeks and into the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's get into today's games. Let's get into the best bets that we've got here, and let's start with the Buffalo Sabres New York Islanders game, where the Sabres trying to claw their way into a playoff spot right here. Minus 101 at home. The Islanders minus 103. You can find the best price available on the Sabres right now at Stacks, and total of 6, 6.5, 5.5. So you better shop around to find the price that you're looking for. But you see the best price available right now is the 6 minus 105, the over 6 there, and then under 6 as well on the other side. If we're looking at this game here tonight, So Money, what's the approach? How are you trying to handicap this game? How do you handicap this game, especially with two teams, one who's looking to climb their way into a playoff spot and one who's actually actively fending off this other team in the Sabres?
Yeah, so for the Islanders, I think that what's important to note for the Islanders is that they did go on this winning streak, right? But you look at some of the teams that they played during that winning streak, and it's not all that impressive, right? You did have a win against Dallas and Boston, but beyond that, it was Detroit, St. Louis, San Jose, Anaheim, right? So we need to keep that we need to take that into consideration. I think a lot of this number is based on where the Islanders were, or where they are recently, as opposed to where they have been for the whole season. I'm still not high on the Islanders for just as a team as a whole, but I think that their win streak has kind of depressed their number, whereas Buffalo, throughout the course of the season, has been seen as a team that is just not good enough to get there, right? So I think for that reason, the way that the teams are playing right now, it's not like Buffalo is playing exceptionally well or anything. Yeah, they won 7-3 against Detroit, but that game kind of snowballed. It wasn't really a 7-3 final. It was one of those games where Detroit didn't play the way that they needed to play, and everything just snowballed from there. So Buffalo's not playing exceptional, but this line is discounted because of the Islanders' kind of perceived hot streak. So for that reason, I do want to take a shot at the Sabres. I played them, and I like them up to -110.
All right, there you go. And we might as well grab that -101 at Stacks. That is the best price available. Again, if you haven't already, sign up now at Stacks, commission-free trading right now. And if you do want to join the discussion and find other people who are looking to fill positions and go head-to-head there in a peer-to-peer exchange, you can find that link in the description of this show in the Discord there. So lock in -101, first bet of the day. But we're not done here. Moretto, you've got another one for us in this game.
Yeah. I think this is, I mean, we see the standings and like the importance this game has on Buffalo's playoff hopes. This is essentially, it's a little bit early, but it's essentially a must win given the ground they have to make up in that wild card race and against a team they're directly, chasing. I would expect a playoff atmosphere. These are two teams that, so many talked about how their play has sort of, dipped and waned and stuff over the season. And we've seen different versions of these teams throughout. One thing that kind of hasn't wavered over a decent period now is the fact that both these teams are sort of low event teams where the Sabres are capable of playing very good defense and still struggle a little bit to generate offense. Islanders are very much the same, especially under Wall. We've seen them really solidify things in the back end. And that's before you even get to Sorokin. They're not giving up many chances. Then you have Sorokin there as the last line of defense. So they're not conceding many goals. They're not scoring many goals. Two teams that just are happy playing low event hockey in what will be a playoff atmosphere. I think this is going to be a very tight, tense game. And I am on the under here. And Russ made sure to message us in our show chat today and said to track this as well. So I think we have a double best bet here on the under 6 -105 is good.
Yeah. So there you go. Double best bet. What a way to start this one. We've got the under here in this game, the under 6 as a double best bet, as well as the Sabres money line -101, courtesy of our friends at Stacks.
Yeah, and just a note in the chat that Ron is actually the one that got me on the Sabres to make the playoffs. So shout out to Ron there, and he's got that 20-1 still out there. If the Sabres do win tonight, there'll be 3 points out of the playoffs, and he's 100% right there. That's gonna disappear quickly.
All right. Well, interesting game to keep an eye on for sure. And as this one wraps up, we will be live here later tonight on the Edgework HQ YouTube channel. So make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, because we'll be live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, breaking down the final end of the second periods and then through the third periods of the 7 o'clock games tonight, doing a watch along. So whether we give out props ahead of time, whether you're tailing all the bets that we give out here this morning, or if there's anything live that pops up, we'll be watching and breaking it down here right here on the Edgework HQ YouTube channel at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications so that you don't miss anything here on this channel. Let's continue to move on here tonight. Plenty more games and plenty more bets from these two gentlemen here today. So let's move on to the Tampa Bay game, where the Lightning are hosting the New York Rangers. We got Tampa right now, best price available +100. The Rangers -104, and total of 6 here in this game right now. So Money, go to you again here first. What are your thoughts on this game and where we currently see the market settling in at?
So Tampa Bay, I've struggled with Tampa Bay all year, because just when I think that they are starting to turn it around, they just come up with a performance that just leaves me scratching my head. They've done that to me a few times this year. They are coming off a 7-0 win against Philadelphia, which was, again, one of those games where, yes, Tampa Bay should have won that game, but it wasn't a 7-0 kind of win. It was another situation where things kind of snowballed on the Flyers there. But the Lightning, they are starting to play better. For the most part, if you kind of zoom out a little bit, if you zoom in, they're still up and down, and they're still not at the level that I expected them to get to at this point. The Rangers, what can you say about the Rangers, right? Like I feel like we say the same thing about them every year. Like they get wins, they don't look impressive in getting those wins, and they get and they get bailed out by Igor or Quick earlier in the season. So I do like Tampa Bay today. I don't know if there's any plus money still out there, but I like them to I like them up to minus 107. Um, yeah, it's I've got a discrepancy between the two teams right now that I want to take advantage of. It's not necessarily um, the play is not necessarily predicated on their on ice performance at this moment, because I don't think Tampa Bay has played particularly um, well enough for me to get there. But when I zoom out and when I compare the numbers that I have for these teams, this is a situation that I do want to take advantage of on Tampa Bay. So that's the reason I did play Tampa Bay here.
Okay, we'll grab Lightning, plus 100, best price available. They're minus 101s there at Stacks, minus 105s out to that minus 110 basically within there, but plenty with underneath that. So make sure to shop around, get the best price available, and if you haven't already, you can grab that at Stacks. And Moretto, yet another game. We grab a best bet in, but you still have more for us here.
Yeah, and it's also a double best bet on the Lightning. So we have the double best bet and the double bet in the same game. We're hitting the double here on this one. So that's concerning. I think we know what that means generally. That probably means we're going to have a 5-2 Rangers win. But yeah, I'm on the Lightning too. I think I've talked about this a bunch about how it's the same thing with the Rangers all the time, but their numbers are not impressive. They're finding ways to win games, just circuit stealing games. I think that in the race that Tampa's kind of in right now, we're going to see their pedigree and their kind of know-how come out over the stretch. That's what you hope, at least. They are starting to play a little bit better, but I think there's a level that they haven't quite reached that I think we will see them get to. At least that's the hope. And I think that kind of starts here as well. In a game where they're a team where they can really elevate how they play based on their opponent. And this is obviously an opponent I think would sort of bring the best out of them. I'm also on the under. These are two teams that, again, just have not been generating all that much. Tampa's the lowest event team over the last month, and that hasn't necessarily translated into a string of unders, but I think the price is right here. And it is a little bit scary based on the fact that both these teams are scorching hot on the power play, and they can be pretty lethal. But we've got two goalies who can hopefully help neutralize that and two penalty kills that are solid. So, yeah, Lightning and under 6.
All right, so under 6, what price are you looking for right now if you're going to be playing that under 6? Like we see, if you look at the screen right now across on the BetStamp app, there's minus 105s, there's a plus 100 available out there right now. If someone were to look at this later in the day, or if they're looking at it, maybe they don't have access to certain books, where are you comfortable playing this at?
I would probably cut it off of those 105s. The plus money there is nice. Yeah, the 5.5 plus 118 at Saks is pretty nice as well. But I think I would try and prefer to stick with the 6 here. So 6 to about minus 105 is good.
Okay. Minus 105, kind of the cutoff range or where we're looking for. On this one, we'll grab that plus 100 as that is available here, especially in Ontario. So grab plus 100 on the under 6. 2 bets in this game. Double on both, double best bet on both there that we're looking at. So back-to-back games with 2 bets, back-to-back games with a double best bet in the game. Make of that what you will if you are in the chat right now, or if you're listening, watching, whatever. This could be an interesting one here tonight for us, given how these double best bets have gone in the past. But let's keep it moving here, and let's take a look now at Moretto's Montreal Canadiens, where they are hosting the Boston Bruins, and Montreal currently sitting plus 195, the Bruins minus 205, and totals of 5.5 and 6s right now. What are your thoughts on this game here tonight, Moretto? And I mean, I guess you don't hate the Bruins as much as So Money and I do.
No, I respect the Bruins for the memories they've given me against the Leafs in the playoffs. There's been some very nice ones, and we've generally done okay against them in the playoffs. So I don't have the same animosity towards them as maybe I did like 10 years ago. I am. This is another game where I'm curious to get So Money's thoughts as well on the side, but I do have a bet on the over in this game. Over 6. I think the plus money should be pretty widely available. Anything plus money there before the sixes are good. These are two teams that I know the goaltending matchup can be a little bit scary. Potentially, we don't know exactly who we're going to get for Boston for sure yet. I know Montembeau's confirmed for Montreal, but honestly, Boston's not playing Boston hockey, and they haven't really been for a while. They're still giving up a ton. They're generating a ton. They're playing pretty high event hockey at 5-on-5. Montreal's been very much the same. They've been very leaky. It looks like maybe they haven't, they got a shutout the other night, but that was a game where Caden Primo pretty much stood in his head. It was a 41 save shutout. That was a little bit misleading. So I think they're going to continue to bleed chances, especially against a team like Boston here. And this is going to be a decently high event game. Goaltending matchup scares me a little bit, but I'm still comfortable playing the over 6 at plus money. And honestly, I lean towards Montreal, just the way these two teams have been playing. We've seen the Habs now for a while. Like, they're battling every night, and they haven't thrown in the towel in the season as much as maybe some of our fans would like them to, just to help that draft pick a little bit. We're seeing them come out, and they're giving teams like Tampa, like Florida, like Toronto, like Carolina, like Nashville. I mean, they're giving these playoff teams fits every night, and they're in every game pretty late. I don't think the Bruins necessarily warrant this price tag, but I haven't quite got there yet on Montreal. I think the price is kind of fine. I don't know what's holding me back from pulling the trigger, other than maybe just knowing the level Boston can get to. We just haven't quite seen it, especially in games like this against the teams like the Leafs, where they're going to kind of bring it a little bit more. We've seen them get to that. I don't know if this is one of those games where they're going to have that same type of urgency, but yeah, I lean Montreal here, but I haven't bet it yet. I've only bet the over so far.
Okay. So Money, could you possibly talk Moretto into the side in this one?
No, there's a lot of converging factors in this game. Alex touched on Montreal still being leaky defensively. They are, but I look at Boston too, and even though they haven't played as well defensively as we've become accustomed to, we still know that they have a ceiling where, if they are playing well, it starts on defense, right? So, and coming off a 5-1 loss against, I don't know where the Blues found those 5 goals from, but it's I would expect some sort of response from Boston, right? And if Boston is making any sort of response in a game, it's going to start defensively. That being said, I've got nothing on the total because of that reason. And on the side, you could make a case for Boston being overvalued here, which they are, but it's just that you have to consider too that if you're thinking that you're going to get a response from a team, where does that ceiling take them in relation to their number, right? So if Boston plays a game where they respond very well, then they should be more than the minus 200, right? If they play the way that they are as of this moment, then they are overvalued. So because there's a lot of mitigating factors here in terms of the kind of team that we get from Boston, that's the reason why I'll be sitting this game out completely.
Okay, well, there you go. Not quite there on the side in this one, but we do grab that over 6 plus 102 between the Bruins and the Habs. And again, we will recap everything at the very end of the show. So if you missed anything, you're wondering what else we've got, don't worry, we will recap them to close this one out. But next up in the 7 o'clock slate here, we got the Carolina Hurricanes hosting the Florida Panthers. This one will be one I would definitely have eyes on, just from at least a perspective of an exciting game on the TV here tonight. Carolina minus 117, and then the Panthers on the other side, best price available at STX plus 106. Total of 5.5 right across the market right now. You can find the over minus 115, the under, some plus money out there right now. Moretto, what are your thoughts on this game tonight? And I mean, these are your Florida Panthers here, but I haven't heard you lay claim to the Carolina Hurricanes yet.
Well, we've seen Florida kind of take their foot off the gas a little bit, and I think that that's okay. We're gearing up for the playoffs, and we're gearing up for that #1 seed in the East, and everything's going to be okay. But we have seen things dip a little bit, and obviously they have a little bit of injuries and stuff like that they're dealing with. And Carolina's just, we don't know if they're peaking necessarily, but it almost feels like they're peaking. The way they're playing right now is just they've taken their game to another level. Arguably been the best team in the NHL over the last month or so. And I think at home here, this is a good spot for me to want to back them, especially coming off that loss the other night against the Rangers, that shutout loss where they were thwarted by Shesterkin. And then Florida coming off that, game in Dallas where they erased that 3-0 lead. Florida has been also a little bit reliant on the power play of late, and they've been scoring a lot of goals in the power play, but kind of neutralized a little bit here by the fact that Carolina has a very, very good penalty kill. They're #2 in the league. They don't give up very much on the penalty kill, so I think that helps our case a little bit here. But yeah, I think the numbers right here for getting back on the Canes after we backed them on Tuesday and weren't quite as successful as we wanted to be.
All right, Canes -117, and so money, is that where you're looking here too?
Yeah, we'll make it a double best bet here again, which is great. No, but honestly, on a Thursday show, double best bets are great. Those have been money. It is scary betting against Florida, especially when you look at the kind of season that they've been having. But Alex touched on this, and it does look like Florida is kind of taking their foot off the gas here, and the reason we know that is because they're the last few games here, they haven't been as strong defensively. If you look at the last few games and compare them to their whole season, they've been significantly leakier on defense. And they've been getting good goaltending, especially in that Calgary game. I thought Stolarz was unreal in that game. It was, yet the final score set 5-1, and like that's the kind of situation where you kind of need to like look deeper into the scores of these games, because that was not a 5-1 Florida win. But regardless, the point I was making is that Florida is getting leakier defensively. Carolina have stepped it up, especially generating chances. Yes, they lost 1-0 against the Rangers, but Alber's touched on this a few times that the Rangers are just a bad matchup for Carolina, right? Like that's a team that Carolina should be trying to avoid at all costs. But I'm not going to hold a bad matchup loss against a team that otherwise has been playing at a very high level. So even though it's a little scary to bet against Florida, I do where my edge comes in is that Florida hasn't been the same level defensively as they've been the whole season, and I'm not going to punish Carolina for one bad matchup loss when they have been playing very well for the most part for at least a couple of months now. Actually, they've all their numbers have been outstanding.
All right, there you go. I see here Mike Bromberg asking Florida and Boston in an interesting spot. Who you want first round, Toronto or wild card 2? Why push for winning the division?
We want Florida.
No, I'll let you guys answer this one. I don't want any part of that.
The question is, who would Florida or Boston want? First of all, I don't believe in choosing your matchups. I think that gets pretty dangerous when you start to try and do that as a team. I don't think teams actually do that in professional sports. I think it's more of a fans thing. Yeah. Like, we want to face this team in the first round. Hopefully, like, teams absolutely do not do that, and nor should they. I think, though, that the important thing to note here is that you're playing for home ice in the second round, which is the most important thing. Whoever you get in the first round, whether you want to avoid Toronto, face Toronto, whatever, I think it's pretty obvious that Toronto would be the tougher matchup of, between them or the wild card 2 team anyways. But regardless, you're playing for, assuming you win that first round series, you want to have home ice in a potential Florida-Boston round 2 series.
Yeah.
Agree completely.
Yeah. There you go. And thanks to the chat and so money there as well. Colts
Yep.
in the chat played Buffalo playoffs. Yes, 20-1 at DK. So there you go.
For
Now the
$3.
Edgeworth chat is going to be riding this. Is going to be riding this as well all the way through. And quickly there, just because Marcus has brought it up, is the Buffalo Islanders best bet under 5.5? That was the under 6. There we grabbed under 6 minus 105. There was the 5.5 plus 118. That was good as well. But yeah, we track it at the 6 minus 105. All right, keep it moving here. Another game on the schedule tonight that we've got bets in, and that will be the Minnesota Wild Anaheim Ducks game. The Wilds minus 275, the Ducks plus 245, total of 6.5 for the most part across the market right now. Moretto, are you going to get disgusting for us here tonight, or are you taking a different approach to this game?
No, I'm not. I'm not about to get disgusting with the Ducks ever. I don't think. That's just they're not a team on my radar whatsoever. I think I'm at a point now where like I think the Ducks have kind of almost mailed it in, sort of like Sens Penguins type of situation where they are just miserable right now. They're not generating anything. It's just boring. They're just going through the motions. And I think that kind of lends itself to an under here against a Wild team that isn't giving up much either. Their defensive numbers have taken a little bit of a rise over the last few games, but that's also because they've played games against, Colorado and Nashville. When they play games against bottom feeder teams like the Arizonas, like the San Jose's, like the St. Louis's, their defensive numbers are very, very elite. And this very much falls under that category. They also don't generate, necessarily a high volume of offense. Even though the Ducks have been a little bit more leaky, I still don't think that we should be getting 6.5 in this game. I think this should be more so at 6. So I'm good to play any of these 6.5s to the minus 120s that are fairly widely available here.
All right. Yeah, we'll grab minus 115. Best price available there. We'll lock in on under 6.5. Do you have any thoughts to add to this game, So Money?
I do agree with Alex here. Even though the Anaheim game scores have been high, their games themselves have not been very high event hockey. The problem is that they've gotten very poor goaltending lately. And I mean, like, you're not gonna sit there and say that the poor goaltending, like the level of the poor goaltending that we've gotten, you're not gonna sit there and say that that's gonna continue. So, I do like the under. I haven't played it. I just can't get there right now because of how Alex was saying that like Minnesota does play differently against better teams than they do against teams like Anaheim. There's also a lot of the fuck it fast factor with the Ducks as well, right? Like, I just don't know what I'm necessarily going to get out of them. So for those reasons, I do like the under, but I will end up passing on the game.
Okay. And final game that we're taking a look at here for tonight's games, we're going to go on over as the NFL games all of a sudden almost tried to open up on my screen. We're going to go to the Kraken Capitals game here where Seattle's minus 155, the Capitals plus 149, and totals of 5.5 right across the market here right now. There's a couple of 6s out there depending on what books you have. Where are you at on this game tonight, Moretto?
I don't have a bet on this game yet, but I am. I just don't think that. I know it's a back-to-back for the Caps, but like if the Kraken keep taking money here, I think I can see myself ending up on the Capitals. I just can't see how you can lay a price tag like this with the Kraken right now. I don't know. I'm just not there on this team whatsoever. I think we have seen the Capitals, like, they're kind of viewed as this almost basement or like bad team by the market, but like they're right in the playoff race and they've still been playing some decent hockey. And I know that like matchup wise, it's a tough spot for them after playing at Edmonton last night, but I don't necessarily think Seattle's worthy of this either. If Seattle keeps taking money and we can get into like the 155-ish range on Washington, then maybe I get involved.
Okay. Well, so there's nothing there for us on that one. So Money, do you have thoughts here?
Yeah, it's tough because I'm one of those people that can't understand what we're still doing here with the Capitals, right? Like, how are they still how are they still hanging around at this point? But you know what? Credit to them. They are hanging on. They are hanging around. Um, the, I see the 5.5 total in this game, and earlier in the season, I was playing a lot of Capitals overs. Um, I still like this over. I don't think that either team warrants a 5.5 at this point. So if we can get the 5.5 up to -120, I'm good on that. I am a little worried about Seattle, because if they are favored to win a game, and if they are winning a game, they did it because they played well defensively, right? So, but if we feel that Washington is good enough to hang around, if Washington wins this game, they did it because they were able to score goals, right? So there's a lot of correlation here between the side and the total. Um, I am more inclined to like Washington. Therefore, for me, there's more value in betting the over. So that's why I did bet the over in this game here.
Okay, and would you still recommend giving that out at current prices here? So money you see -115s on the over 5.5, kind of more
Yeah.
so in that -120 range. That's still good for you.
Yeah, up to -120, I'm good.
All right, there you go. Over 5.5, -115. Another bet locked in here in terms of the games that we were looking at. Now, before we move off of this, answer some of the questions in the chat. So money, any other games here today that you're looking at, not quite within price range so far, maybe something you're looking to get to throughout the course of the day, anything popped up during the show? Where are you at on the remaining games that we haven't quite got to yet?
Why don't you tell me, Zach? This Toronto Philadelphia game, the Flyers have taken a bunch of money since we've been on air, right? So I'm kind of curious about that, right? If this dips any more here, I think that I'm going to be forced or more inclined to play Toronto, and it's kind of scary to bet Toronto on the road, laying this number. So that's the game that I'm looking at.
All right. Well, what number would you kind of look for it to get to, or where's like your range that you'd be maybe needing it in right now, or to bet later on? Because we're seeing the Leafs currently at -117. Again, best
Yeah,
price is at Stacks there, but
we are really getting there. I think if I can get the Leafs at -115, then I do it.
okay, fair enough. Moretto, any other games here for you today that you're still looking at? Not quite there. Maybe you'll get to the day progresses.
We talked about the Habs a bit. Like, I feel like if Boston takes money, I understand that like their range is the peak of their range is so much higher than what we've seen, and Montreal's is also a lot lower than what we're seeing too. And the second that compete factor kind of goes, then Montreal really can bottom out. So, but I mean, I think that I can be tempted if we can, see Boston take some money at post, perhaps. Price wise, not quite a reason to back Columbus, but I don't think that Ottawa has anything left to give. It's just the only reason they won the other night is because they faced another team that has maybe arguably less left to give in Pittsburgh. And I can't get behind them laying anything on the road against a Columbus team that has actually been playing pretty good and generating good offense and stuff. So like maybe if we can get a little bit of a better number, maybe in like the kind of plus 120-ish sort of range on Columbus, I could be tempted, at least even the high teens. And other one was total wise that I was looking at was between Toronto and Philly. I kind of want to get involved with the under. I just haven't done it yet. Philly is playing, fairly low event hockey. They're not generating a ton. They're playing really well defensively. Erston makes me a little bit nervous though. But on Toronto's end, like they're playing better defensively as well. And I think, are we expecting Marner back tonight?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so, right? And then Samsonov's been playing well. Defensively, they've been playing pretty good. This strikes me as a bit more, this matchup-wise strikes me as a bit more of a tense sort of tighter game where I think the under 6.5 is a good look. But again, I haven't quite bet it yet. I would ideally like to get something around like -110-ish on the 6.5. But I don't know where you are on that, so money, but that's kind of how I lean with this total.
Yeah, I would lean the under as well. I can see myself getting there. I just need just like you, I just need a little bit more. I think flat 6.5 would be where I would be at here.
All right. Can we get a wellness check on Todd, please? Certainly not looking at the Devils, who suck and make me hate my life. It'll be okay, Todd. We'll get through it. We'll get through it together. I mean, you may not make the playoffs this year, but I'll be with you after who knows what, 5 games. So it's all good, Todd. It'll be okay. We'll figure it out. Final thing here before we get off of the games today and before we get out of here. JH is asking, how do you guys adjust for power play in your handicap? I hear a lot of mention about 5v5 and goaltending on the show, but I mean, I guess kind of outside of that, where is that factoring in? How do you guys adjust for that? So, Money, we can start with you here.
Yeah, so to be honest, it's something. Special teams is something that I've really struggled with. I've played around with a lot of different elements, and nothing has panned out for me. So, power play, penalty killing, it's something that it does tend to more often than not regress back to league averages. You're not going to see a team like just firing at like a high power play number or like be as bad penalty killing, unless you're for the Canucks from last year, because that was just an aberration though, right? Like you generally don't see teams that bad on their special teams or that good. So because I haven't been able to figure it out, I'm sure that other people may have done a better job at it. But for those things, for those reasons, I just haven't looked at it much, just because everything I've tried with special teams hasn't worked out for me.
Moretto, is there an approach that you've taken to special teams?
I agree. For the most part, you don't want to weight it too heavily, unless you're talking about teams like the Rangers, who seem to have been clicking at like 35% of the power play for the last 3 years. Just insane numbers. I for totals, like I do want to consider matchups more so than like individual units. If you have a very good penalty kill against a very bad power play, stuff like that can, or vice versa. I think that stuff like that does play into it. But again, you don't want to weight it too heavily, because sometimes it is noise, and there are obviously instances where there's large sample sizes to suggest that, okay, these guys have a very good power play and have for 2 years now. Good special teams coach, good power play players, whatever. There's instances where that's the case, but for the most part, teams do go through these sort of ebbs and flows on special teams, and they do regress to the mean. So you don't want to generally put too much stock into them.
All right, and final question here. Claudio asking, just as we wrap this one up, are you guys happy with your season record overall? Well, I mean, I guess we would rather be undefeated on the season. So if that's the first way to answer that, then no, we would rather not have lost a single bet all year. But I think I would be able to speak for all of us across the shows in terms of actual record and what our numbers are. When I read those out at the beginning, we're not really concerned with the record. It's the ROI and the units on the season that we're more concerned with. How we do CLV wise. I mean, we are betting the day of the game as well, so some of it's not going to move quite as much. We're hitting these at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. Puck drops at 7 p.m., so a lot of times we're not going to get that much movement, but still, it's kind of an indicator of some of that. I think that's more our approach and what we're more focused on than the actual record. You look at it right now, we're 10 games below 500 in terms of straight up wins, losses. But we're up 20 units on the year, 3.4% ROI, and over 600 bets. That's much more important to us.
And that's
than
with Alber on the show
loss
this year
record.
too. So
right. So there you go. That's one half or 1/3, I guess, of the Wednesday show, dragging things down a little bit. But yeah, that's what I would say we're more concerned with than the actual record. I don't know if you guys have a different approach.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that, right? Like, I mean, and after tonight, that those units are really going to pick up. So, I mean, it's a process, right? Like I talked about this a few weeks ago. Like February is tough, right? Like once you get into February, like the markets are efficient, right? Like, and and we're betting here on like the day of the games and stuff. So I mean, it's a process. It's gonna turn around.
Yes, agreed. All right, well, that'll do it for us here on today's show. Let's recap the picks that we've gotten. If you haven't yet, if you're watching, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel as well. There's a poll up here, Somani Moretto. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's a poll in the chat for YouTube. Who stole the Penguins bobbleheads? There's 3 options. Number 1, Gritty. That obviously the mascot for the Flyers. That would just make sense. Russ, who could not make it to today's show. I said power outage, but
Interesting.
who knows where he's actually at. And finally, Joey Pucks, leader in the clubhouse right now. 55% of the votes from the Edgework viewers is Joey Pucks. 55% think Knish is the one who has stolen the Yager bobbleheads. And you know what? After all I saw yesterday about -4,000s and Blue Horseshoe and stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if Knish ended up on DePaul last night and needed to steal some of those bobbleheads to turn things around today. So that's entirely possible. But yeah, there you go. So if you haven't already, go vote in the chat. Go vote on the poll. But let's recap today's picks, where we're at right now. We have plenty of bets, and you can find these all over in the BetSamp app, in the Find Better section as Edgework HQ. Let's start with the first game that we've got here tonight. Islanders Sabres under 6 -105. As well, use our full unit on every single one of these. So under 6 -105. We also have the Sabres money line against the Islanders -101. Then in the Habs Bruins game, over 6 +102. The Rangers Lightning under 6 +100. Lightning money line against the Rangers +100. The Hurricanes money line against the Panthers -117. The Ducks Wild under 6.5 -115. And then the Caps Kraken over 5.5 -115. So those are all your plays for tonight. If you do tail us on these, you'll want to come watch along with us here tonight, right here on the Edgework HQ YouTube channel at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Moretto and I will go live there at that time, and then we'll have everyone different people from the Edgework show joining in with us at different times throughout as we watch the remainder of the second periods into the third periods of tonight's 7 o'clock slate. So look forward to seeing everyone then. Make sure to subscribe here to the channel, turn on notifications, and as always, sign up at Stacks. Make sure to head on over to Stacks if you haven't already. But thanks so much to everyone for tuning in here today. We appreciate it. So Money, thank you as always. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Moretto, thanks for filling in here today. We'll see you back here, tonight, I guess, but outside of that, for the morning shows, we'll see you back here next week. For everyone else in the chat, we'll see you for the watch along. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. Enjoy the games tonight. Good luck on your bets.